Good morning. I'm here with my cup of coffee to fuel the madness, and I wanted to check if these scale cutouts were much ado about nothing in terms of our concern in theory, if not in practice, that these extra holes would potentially offer too much opportunity for additional intrusion of muck. So I figured I would pick the 2-layer of the Refined Alox series because it's sort of the middle. And I will not choose the Cadet because these are much narrower liners, like the gaps this way are less, so I figure that's not an equal comparison. This is a 3-layer, and it's the same in terms of being 93 millimeters, but I am not willing to sacrifice this collectible to this ridiculous experiment. So I'm gonna go with the Hoffman Grant because the layers are similar in width. They're both 2 layers, so it's not an exact comparison, but if anything, this could allow additional intrusion because it's longer lengthwise. So to that end, we're giving this one every advantage to exceed our expectations. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop each one in the dirt maybe 10 times and see what that does. I'm going to carve a couple of pumpkins because there's nothing much messier than that. And I'm going to do a little pocket lint experiment courtesy of my dryer lint catcher. So that's what we're going to do. High quality science here. It's a mad science lab. Let's see what happens. So here I just wanted to show the layers are about the same in width. There's a little extra width here to accommodate this liner lock, but otherwise the width of each recessed tool layer is right about similar. And here to validate that we're starting in both cases with very clean internals. Nice and shiny. Let's see if we can mess that up. Remarkably compelling viewing experience. This is why we are going to fast forward through this riveting visual material and cut you to the end. So first off, I'd like to acknowledge that the Grant has a bit more space for intrusion of muck on the side of the blade and also between the can opener and bottle opener. You can see that there, versus these two tuck right next to each other, and you can see there's a little less space on the blade. So acknowledging that fact, we can see lots of dust on the outside, on the edge of the blade here, again on the outside edge of the tools. If we open it up, we can see some little hairs and dirt that got in there. Let's open these guys up. Oops. So not too bad. Nothing you can't probably blow out of there. Let's give it a blow. The hairs want to stay stuck, but in any case, not too shabby. And here on this one, I thought it was hilarious that almost right away this clod of lint got stuck in here. That's not realistic unless your pockets are extra gunky, but it did happen. And also we got another one stuck under the clip when I was jostling around. Both were when I was jostling in the Ziploc bag. So this bothers me. This is probably where I notice the most junk, probably because there's some lubricant there that causes the sticking. You can also see that the dust, of course, gets much more to the side of the tools. Let's open it up. Sorry, I had this flashlight out in case we needed it to visualize better. Not too bad down in the bottom. So I think in terms of the bottom of the tool, again, it's not an exactly fair game in that regard because there are bigger gaps when sprinkling any dust into the top. But I don't see that this is worse. If anything, I see that it's better when it comes to the bottom. But this I don't love. So, conclusion. The only real issue I see is here with these cutouts. These ones don't seem to make a massive difference. Welcome to my outdoor planter space. In this case, I'm going to drop each one with the blade open because the most realistic scenario exposing it to dirt is when you accidentally drop it, probably as you're using it. So sorry blades, but this should be pretty soft. We'll do this we'll try 10 times and maybe dropping, different angles. So we'll do face down. I don't know if it'll land that way, but we'll try. I don't think I have to keep going here to witness concerns. I'm not even sure I have to carve the pumpkin, but I'm gonna. Let's move that out. That's not fair. Let's see inside of there. So it's interesting. This one has very little dirt inside, which makes me wonder if the dirt that we see on the bottom of this one is actually coming in via the side versus I expected, outside of seeing dirt along here, I expected that down here it might be fairly similar. And it is, meaning there's not a ton of dirt on the bottom, but this one basically has none. Whereas this one you can see some of those crumbs, but you definitely see it here. Let's see if I open this. It's not like it helps it move to the side. And of course now we have even more dirt that's fallen in. This is going to be fun to clean before the next experiment. All right, so far I already feel like we've demonstrated that these cutouts are a problem for any kind of outdoor use. This one is basically perfectly clean. You wouldn't have to think twice about it. All right, let's go on to the pumpkin show. God, this is so gritty. I don't even know if I want to close it. There it goes. Not too bad, not too bad. You could hear that grit too, though, if we're honest. So I cleaned this one, just no scrubbing, no digging any kind of pipe cleaner in there. So it's not perfect, but just a rinse of water cleaned up this one pretty easily. So it occurs to me now that ease of cleaning might also be relevant in terms of how disturbing these cutouts are as far as muck intrusion. I don't know how well you can see that. There's definitely still some crumbs down in there. But not terrible, but not terrible. So to that end, that should minimize the big deal factor in some people's minds. So maybe easy in, but also relatively easy out. But we haven't met our match yet with the pumpkin, so let's see how that goes next. I'm not quite sure either is winning here. You can see we have some gunk inside of the liner on both of them. Here we have some under the pocket clip. A little gunk here through this hole. Little gunk here through this hole. You know, this one you could get the same liability with the corkscrew, I suppose. but ease of cleaning might show us the extent to which this is a drag or not, so I'll test that out. Side note, one of my viewers shared that they had experienced dressing a deer with a cadet, which I thought was really incredible. So that really speaks to the fact that when using caution, you don't actually need a locking blade, which is not what we're testing here, but just a fun story. As far as cleaning these up, they did so with ease. Not a big deal there. With ease, I tell you, with ease. Yeah, so cleanup is pretty easy. So maybe we shouldn't be so fussed about it. Dirt definitely gets in easier. Lint does, dirt does, pumpkin guts do, but it's not so hard to clean. Hello, pocket grime from previous high-quality scientific experiment. We meet again. But on the whole, you know, with a little wash up in the sink, all of the grime comes out pretty easily. I noticed with the pumpkin guts, it really crammed in under the liner, but with a little push aside, it's sort of swished right out. Oh my goodness. Darn you, you're breaking up my point here, but we're not evaluating the pocket clip. We're evaluating these cutouts in the scales. And definitely dirt gets in, lint gets in, pumpkin guts get in easier. If not to the depth of the liners, just holing up right here, kind of like a plug in the cutouts. So I think it cleans up pretty easy. So to that extent, if you know, first pick the right tool for the job. If you have another knife, like a fixed blade, use that for your pumpkin guts. But if you don't, you can use this. It will clean up, not that big a deal. It's really according to your aesthetic choice. Do you like this or not? I like it. I guess the exception being this cutout here, just because of the lubricant on the pivot point, pocket lint at least likes to stick in there, and it just doesn't look good if you've got dirt in there. You lose that refined shine. So take it as you will. I'd still recommend getting one of these. I think when you're carrying it on the right sort of day, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, let me get to carving something in this pumpkin. Cheers.